Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb. Text 34 onwards. Sattvam Vishuddham Shreyate Bhavan Sito Sharirinam Shreya Upayanam Bapu Edakriya Yog Tapasamadibhes Tavarhanam Yena Jana Samihate. O Lord, during the time of maintenance, you manifest several incarnations, all with transcendental bodies beyond the material modes of nature. When you appear in this way, you bestow all good fortune upon the living entities by teaching them to perform Vedic activities such as ritualistic ceremonies, mystic yoga, austerities, penances, and ultimately samadhi, ecstatic absorption in thoughts of you. Thus you are worshipped by the Vedic principles. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yajna Dan Tapa Karmana Tyajyam. In the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, charity, austerity, and all such prescribed duties are never to be given up. Even one who is very much advanced in spiritual realization must still execute the Vedic principles. Even in the lowest stage, the karmis are advised to work for the sake of the Lord. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work binds one to the material world. The words Yagyarthat Karmana indicate that while performing all kinds of duties, one should remember that these duties should be performed to satisfy the Supreme Lord. According to Vedic principles, there must be divisions of human society. Chaturvarnya Maya Srishtam. There should be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And everyone should learn to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is real human society, and without this system, we are left with animal society. So the demigods are further praying to the Lord that during the time of maintenance, you manifest several incarnations and you bestow good fortune, teach them different activities, Vedic ritualistic activities, for basically so that people can absorb in you, think of you. The modern activities of human society are described in Srimad Bhagavatam as activities of go khara, cows and asses. And not cow means animals. Everyone is acting in a bodily concept of life, involving society, friendship, and love for the improvement of economic and political conditions. And thus all activities are enacted in ignorance. The Supreme Personality of Godhead therefore comes to teach us how to act according to the Vedic principles. In this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and preached that in this age, the Vedic activities cannot be systematically performed because people are so fallen. He gave this recommendation from the Shastras, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, they have given. And in this day and age, only Vedic activity that we can perform is chanting of the holy names. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore teaching people all over the world how to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and this has proved very much effective in all places at all times. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in order to teach us Vedic principles intended for understanding Him. We should always know that when Krishna and Lord Chaitanya appeared, they appeared in Shuddha Sattva bodies. One should not mistake the body of Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be a material body like ours. For Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as needed for the benefit of the entire human society. Out of causeless mercy, the Lord appears in different ages in his original Shuddha Sattva transcendental body to elevate human society to the spiritual platform upon which they can truly benefit. Unfortunately, modern politicians and other leaders stress the worldly comforts of life because this is how the society works. This is what they want. Not everybody is going to be on that spiritual level where they want to just work for Krishna. So modern politicians and leaders stress the bodily comforts of life and concentrate on the activities of this ism and that ism, which they describe in different kinds of flowery language. Essentially, such activities are the activities of animals. We should learn how to act from Bhagavad Gita, which explains everything for human understanding. Thus, we can become happy even in this age of Kali. So, all we have to do is follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, and we can even be happy in this age. Actually, as we studied earlier, that the people of heavenly planets, they also, in Kali Yuga, they want to take birth in the land of Bharatvarsha. Why? Because they know just by chanting of the holy names in Kali Yuga, they can attain Krishna Prema and go to Golok Vrindavan. No other way possible. Not even in heavenly planets they can do this. So those who are engaged in devotional service, they can remain happy anywhere and everywhere. Sattvam na chedha taritam nijam bhavet vijnanam ajnanabhi tapamarjanam guna prakashar anumiyate bhava prakashate yasya chayena va gunaha. O Lord, cause of all causes, if your transcendental body were not beyond the modes of material nature, one could not understand the difference between matter and transcendence. Only by your presence can one understand the transcendental nature of your Lordship, who are the controller of material nature. Your transcendental nature is very difficult to understand unless one is influenced by the presence of your transcendental form. So without mercy of the Lord, one cannot understand the Lord. That's what they're saying. It is said that Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Unless one is situated in transcendence, one cannot understand the transcendental nature of the Lord. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Athapit Deva Padam Bhujadvaya. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead one can understand it. Those who are in the modes of material nature, although speculating for thousands of years, cannot understand it. The Lord has innumerable forms, and unlike these forms, such as Lord Ramchandra, Nrsimhadev, Krishna, and Balaram, were transcendental. How could they be worshipped by devotees since time immemorial? So until these forms were transcendental, how could they be? Any material form cannot be worshipped since times immemorial. Devotees who awaken their transcendental nature in the presence of the Lord and who follow the rules and regulations of devotion service can understand Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, and other incarnations who are not of this material world but who come from the spiritual world for the benefit of people in general. If one does not take to this process, one imagines or manufactures some form of God according to material qualities and can never awaken a real understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati signify that unless one worships the Lord according to the regulative devotional principles, one cannot awaken the transcendental nature. Deity worship, even in the absence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, awakens the transcendental nature of the devotee, who thus becomes increasingly attached to the Lord's lotus feet. So one can know God only by the mercy of God. And who gets the mercy? Who is engaged in devotional service. How do we get engaged in devotional service? By the mercy of Krishna and Guru, and depending upon how much Agyat Sukriti we have somehow or other collected. So by following this procedure, one slowly comes to that level that one can understand God. And you see, the demigods are praying, the Lord is in the womb of Devaki. I'm pretty sure they could see the Lord within the womb, and they know the position of the Lord. The appearance of Krishna is the answer to all imaginative iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone imagines the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his mode of material nature. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is the oldest person. Govindam Adi Purusham. He is the oldest, original person. Therefore, a section of religionists imagine that God must be very old. And therefore, they depict a form of the Lord like a very old man. But in the same Brahma Samhita, that is contradicted. Although he is the oldest of all living entities, he has his eternal form as a fresh youth. The exact words used in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam are Vijnanam, Agyan, Bhidapamarjanam. Vijnan means transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vijnan is also experienced knowledge. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession, as Brahma presents the knowledge of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita is Vijnan as realized by Brahma's transcendental experience, and in that way, he presented the form and the pastimes of Krishna in the transcendental abode. So, all these scriptures, whether given by Krishna, spoken by Krishna, given by Ved Vyasji, Brahmaji, and other sages, they're not just theoretical words. They are the realizations of all these devotees. We cannot understand, we cannot conceive of. When Brahmaji said, like Prabhupada is saying, Brahmaji said, God is the original person, he is the oldest person. So people think he must be very old, 150 years old, with white, long beard and long hair, and wearing white robes, having a stick in his hand because he's old. But no, he has a spiritual form, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, made of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. He's not made of form just like we have. He doesn't have a body like we have. We grow old, not God. So that is where one has to accept a guru and then follow the process. That's what Prabhupada said. Then it is the descending process of this. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession. Otherwise, one cannot understand. Otherwise, there'll be questions, there'll be doubts, and then we will think, or like normally people think, oh, this is all bogus. This is superstitious. It's not superstition. It's not bogus. It's just beyond our grasp. That's all. It's just like if some boy, he picks up books of, say, computer engineering or some other medical science, he cannot understand anything out of it. So he will say, no, this is all bogus. But this is not bogus. Those who are computer engineers or medical people, they have learned from these books and they have successful careers. So it's just how we approach the subject matter. There is no doubt about Shri Krishna's form, Shri Krishna's flute, Krishna's color, everything is reality. Here it is said that this Vijnanam is always defeating all kinds of speculative knowledge. Therefore, the demigods prayed, without you appearing as Krishna, as you are, neither Agyan Vida, the nations of speculative knowledge, nor Vijnanam would be realized. Agyan Bhidava Marjanam, by your appearance, a speculative knowledge of ignorance will be vanquished, and the real experienced knowledge of authorities, like Lord Brahma, will be established. Men influenced by the three modes of material nature imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. In this way, God is presented in various ways, but your appearance will establish what the real form of God is. So even at that time, there must be different forms of God people must have imagined. But Krishna appears. That's why he appears, right? To establish the religion. Religion doesn't mean, to establish Hindu religion. No, religion means to establish our real, Krishna appears to establish our real position. He's God, and our position is to serve him lovingly. That is the real religion. The highest blunder committed by the impersonalists is to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts a form of matter in the mode of goodness. Actually, the form of Krishna, Narayan, is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist, Shankaracharya, has admitted, Narayana Paro Avyaktat. The material creation is caused by the Avyakta, the impersonal manifestation of matter, or the non-phenomenal total reservoir of matter. And Krishna is transcendental to that material conception. This is expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam as Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental. The Lord does not belong to the material mode of goodness, for he is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental, eternal status of bliss and knowledge. It's very difficult to understand these things, very difficult. Especially with our intelligence, little tiny intelligence, cannot understand. And that is why most of the people, they follow Nirakar. God must be Nirakar. It just sounds so good because we cannot understand him. But that's not true. He has a form. He has an eternal form, Satchitananda form. The demigod, Prabhupada further says, Dear Lord, the demigods prayed, when you appear in your different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you're all attractive. You're called Shyama Sundar because of your transcendental beauty. Shyama means blackish, yet they say that you are more beautiful than thousands of cupids. Gandharva Koti Kamaniya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to that of a blackish cloud, you're the transcendental absolute, and therefore your beauty is many, many times more attractive than the delicate beauty of Cupid. Sometimes you're called Giridhari because you lifted the hill known as Govardhan. You're sometimes called Nandanandan or Vasudeva Devaki Nandan because you appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda or Devaki or Vasudeva. Impersonalists think that your many names or forms are according to a particular type of work and quality because they accept you from the position of a material observer. But his names are not because of a particular type of quality. His names are because he has performed these pastimes with his devotees. Our dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form, and activities by mental speculation. One must engage himself in devotional service. Then one can understand your absolute nature and your transcendental form, name, and quality. Actually, only a person who has a little taste for the service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature or form and quality. Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it's not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the non-devotees because there is a curtain of Yog Maya which covers Krishna's actual features. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, the Lord says, I'm not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And everyone saw him, but not everyone could understand that he was the Supreme Personality of God. Still, everyone who died in his presence attained complete liberation from material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world. So, in this battle of Kurukshetra or Mahabharata, everybody could not understand his position although they all saw him. So just because they were there, that was a proof that they have performed plenty of pious activities and bhakti to be there in that battlefield. Maybe even though they were on the side of Duryodhana, many of them, but they could not be there until they had performed plenty to be in the direct presence of Krishna. And that is why when they died, they all attained liberation. Not the liberation that the devotees achieved, but at least they got liberated. Because foolish mudas do not awaken their spiritual nature. They do not understand Krishna or Ram. Even big academic scholars, not considering the endeavors of the acharyas, who have recommended devotional service in many elaborate commentaries and notes, think that Krishna is fictitious. This is due to a lack of transcendental knowledge and a failure to awaken Krishna consciousness. One should have the common sense to ask why, if Krishna or Ram were fictitious, stalwart scholars like Sridhar Swami, Dhruva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Veeraraghav, Vijayadhwaj, Vallabhacharya, and many other recognized acharyas would have spent so much time to write about Krishna in notes and commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. So all these self-realized acharyas, stalwart acharyas, scholars, they had better things to do than write fictitious novels like all these fictitious writers these days. So they cannot be writing so much about Krishna. If he was a fictitious or mythological character, they are real and they are the only reality actually. Rest everything is fictitious. But this is what Krishna also says, I do not expose myself to everyone and anyone because they cannot understand. So I guess we can stop here because next purport is also very long. I don't have much time. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Hare Krishna, brother.
सर कंप्यूटर्स और मेडिकल साइंस का एग्जांपल दे रहे थे ना आप प्रभु जी, तो कंप्यूटर की फील्ड में ऐसा कि मतलब फॉर्मल एजुकेशन की जरूरत ही नहीं है तो वो कंप्यूटर्स मतलब जस्ट ए जोक साइड कि कंप्यूटर्स people just read and they come, so there is no formal education is required as such.
Yeah, but still, I mean, एक छोटे बच्चे को तो नहीं देख के कह सकते ना, वो कहेगा ये क्या है? What is all that? I don't understand. But still, they have to learn from somebody.
हाँ, बुक से पढ़ के हो जाता है. Medical science is yes, and they have to learn under some. Computer is तो यहाँ
computers.
कोई भी आ जाता है.
Computers में भी तो many levels आते हैं ना. If somebody wants to do artificial intelligence, AI, and you cannot just study from books. You have to learn from a teacher.
Change हो गया सारा.
ओ उसमें भी अब बहुत चीजें हैं ना.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
हरे कृष्ण
प्रभु जी, पीछे a few verses back you mentioned that Krishna was to take he had to appear in the womb of Devaki. He instructed Yogamaya to send or arrange and for all his associates so that he could perform his leelas. So Satan came from the spiritual world. They were all spiritual souls. They had no desire to come down to the earth like we desires, and we came and to lord over the material world. So we are paying the penalty for that. But they had no such desire. But then we have people like Kamsa who were tyrant right from the day one. They had no any bad karmas in their soul. They were all spiritual there.
Well, Devaki, Vasudev, Nanda Baba, Yashoda, Maya, or any of the associates, when they go through this apparent, it's not real, apparent miseries, actually it increases their love for Krishna. They're not paying for the bad karmas, no. This is to increase their love for Krishna. This is spiritual, completely spiritual. That's why it's not that easy to understand. One has to go through it. That's why we get the training. Once we get qualified to enough purified, then we go to the universe where Krishna's pastimes are going on, and then we enter that universe, and we get trained under that particular associate. Technical name is Rajatmika Bhakta, and then we go back to the spiritual world. So that training has to be there. Yes, Prabhuji left. Chalo, I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.